Hello and welcome to another In a Nutshell video. In this video, we are looking at topic 4E in the Christianity component of the Religious Studies A-Level from Eduqas. Topic 4E looks at the charismatic movement within Christianity. In this series of videos, we will be looking at the development of the charismatic movement over the past century, the philosophical challenges to the charismatic movement, and the strengths and weaknesses of it. In this video, we are going to begin by looking at what the charismatic movement is, with reference to the Bible and the features of this movement today. The word charismatic comes from the Greek word charismata, which means gifts of grace. St. Paul refers to these gifts in a number of his letters contained in the New Testament. St. Paul refers to prophesying, serving, wisdom, healing, miracles, speaking in tongues, and interpreting tongues as some of the gifts of the Spirit. St. Paul makes it clear that the purpose of these gifts is to build up the body of Christ, which means to strengthen the church. They are not a means of achieving some kind of spiritual high. For example, St. Paul writes that speaking in tongues was more suitable for private worship unless it could be interpreted for all to understand. Today, charismatic Christians believe that all of the gifts of the Spirit, as described in 1 Corinthians 12, are available to all Christians through baptism in the Spirit. There are 4 gifts that are emphasized the most. Firstly, speaking in tongues, which is split into 2 forms. There is xenolalia, which is speaking in a foreign language, and glossolalia, which is speaking in a heavenly language, both of which are when a speaker uses a language that is unknown to them. Xenolalia is described in Acts 2, where the disciples speak in languages that they do not know how to speak. This leads to the conversion of many to Christianity. Recently, there have been claims of xenolalia, but none of which have been proven. Glossolalia is seemingly mentioned by Paul in 1 Corinthians, where he speaks of a heavenly language that cannot be understood without the gift of interpretation. Paul says that this language is meant for God, as part of private prayer. Charismatic Christians today might experience this kind of babbling noise when praying, which also allows them to feel closer to God. Some have argued that Acts 2 actually does show glossolalia, and that the listeners were given the gift of interpretation. Secondly, there is prophecy, where a person gives a message which is supposed to bring people closer to loyalty with God. It allows for better worship and an increase in morality. In 1 Corinthians, Paul says that these prophecies need to be tested, and churches must have a criteria to decide if they are true. For example, it must not contradict the Bible, it should be accepted by church leaders, it must recognize Jesus as God, and it must inspire love, joy, and peace. Thirdly, there is healing, which Jesus tells his disciples that they will be able to do. In Mark's Gospel, it says that the disciples will lay their hands on the sick and they will recover. When charismatic Christians gather, they might expect some kind of healing to occur. This could happen through the prayers of elders or through those who have this special gift of healing. Sometimes it occurs after the laying on of hands by a number of people. This kind of healing can be physical, psychological, or emotional. Finally, there is the inspiration to worship. Often, charismatic services have a joyful feeling, full of expectation of what the Spirit might do. Worshippers generally move their bodies and sway with their hands in the air. Sometimes dancing and clapping. The music is often performed by a contemporary music band. Sometimes more gentle music for prayer can lead people to sing or speak in tongues. In this video, we have looked at some of the main features of charismatic Christianity. In the next video, we will look at the origins of the Pentecostal and charismatic movements over the past 100 years. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe down below.